your Best Lifestyles podcast by Terrence Hutchinson. A prescription for better health through an active lifestyle. This podcast highlights lifestyle-related diseases and chronic conditions that can stop or slow down activities of daily living, ADL. Everything from human movement and performance, nutrition, joint pain, back pain, pre- and post-rehabilitation strategies, posture, flexibility, and more. Whether you're a competitive athlete or non-athlete, handicap, or disabled, we will highlight the benefits of great health and wellness every day. Become a supporter. Your Best Lifestyles podcast, a podcast by Terrence Hutchinson. Support this amazing podcast with a monthly small subscription, your monthly contribution of $4.99. www.yourbestlifestyles.com.
Sometimes I feel alone, all by myself. At times I can't go on, don't want nobody's help. I lift my voice in praise, 'cause I know I can count on you. Count on you to pull me through, Father. Father, do you hear my cry? I keep asking myself why. Why do I feel this way? So I lift up my hands, praise go up and blessings come down. Amen. Praise go up and blessings come down. I lift my hands, praise go up and blessings come down. Amen. Amen.
I lift my hands.
Pick me up when I'm down. Pick me up.
I lift my hands.
Pick me up when I'm down. Pick me up.
I lift my hands.
Blessings, I'ma shout it out. Blessings all around. Blessings keep falling down. Blessings keep falling down. Sometimes it feels like no one's listening. I pour my heart out, didn't hear nothing. I need a word, any intervention. Trying to figure it out, how my mama said out. I know you work it out, you work it out. I can do this on my own. So I'll keep holding on. If you hear every word I say, Lord, I lift my hands. Praise go up and blessings come down. Amen. Praise go up and blessings come down. I lift my hands. Praise go up and blessings come down. Amen. Amen.
I lift my hands.
Pick me up when I'm down. Pick me up.
I lift my hands.
Pick me up when I'm down. Pick me up.
I lift my hands.
Blessings, I'm shouting out. Blessings all around. Blessings keep falling down. Blessings keep falling down. Pick me up when I'm down. Pick me up.
I lift my hands.
Pick me up when I'm down. Pick me up.
I lift my hands.
Blessings, I'm shouting out. Blessings all around. Father, when I don't have the words to say, I praise you anyway. Thank you for blessing me. I praise you in my way. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise go up and blessings come down. Pick me up when I lift my hands. Pick me up when I'm down. Pick me up. I lift my hands. Blessings, I'ma shout it out. Blessings all around. Blessings keep falling down. Amen.
What's up, everybody? This is Terrence here at Your Best Lifestyle Self Wellness Podcast at the O. Robinson Public Relations and Media Group Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. This is happening. Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. You're having a blessed day. You're healthy, you're strong, you're active, you're motivated, you're doing all the things to take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's been really supporting the show, downloading, subscribing, listen to us in the gym, listen to us in this Atlanta crazy traffic, like all of it, man. We really appreciate all the feedback. Thank you so much. People want to know, like, you need to do more shows. You need to do more shows. I'm like, I just don't want to interview just anybody. You know what I'm saying? You get a lot of shows. They just want to put anybody on the show. That's not what I want to do. I want to talk to people who are doing major things on a global stage. Okay. I just don't want to talk to Bob who's around the corner just because he's doing, that's not my thing. But I understand it. I appreciate you guys. We're not trying to be the run of the mill show. Everybody who we have on come from different backgrounds from around the country or around the world. And tonight is no different. Okay. So, but before I introduce you to my guests, I'm gonna say thank you to everybody who purchased their tickets to the 11th BBR Indie Films and Networking event that's happening on tomorrow night at Studio Movie Grill, 40 Powers Ferry Road. You know how we do. This is our 11th event. We always sell out. A lot of celebrities come out. We got independent filmmakers. We got people who are doing music, people who are on SAG, doing voiceovers, who are working with Netflix, Amazon, all of it. And real people, too, who got skin in the game, not just people who are just around the corner and say, hey, I'm going to shoot a film on my little iPhone. No, we got real people who's been doing things in the industry, whether it's music, television, movies, all of it. Okay. So if you are in the industry, actor, film producer, investor, I don't care if you do hair and makeup, you're a barber, you do craft services, I don't care, you do lighting, you do grip. You want to be here, man, because, there's a lot of gems being dropped at our events. And if you go to the website at www.bbrindiefilms.com, check out some on Instagram, you'll see the reviews. You'll see everybody who we had in the past. Okay, so it's a beautiful thing, man. Check us out. And also, I want to say congratulations to Butter, my wife. Her new album just came out called Thankful. We just finished the music video for the track. I Lift My Hands. We are premiering that tomorrow as well, worldwide, global, 4 drops. And also we finishing up the last scene of the movie Thankful. And we want to say, look for that, man. We are talking with major networks right now. So y'all pray for a brother and a sister. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's enough of that because, I was trying to catch this queen because we had some technical difficulties with the weather a few weeks ago, right before the holiday, I believe, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we got her now. I'm super excited. And I'm just going to run it down briefly to her. Now, Dr. Allison Parker is an emerging author dedicated to transforming the lives of children through the power of literacy, right? With a passion for storytelling and a commitment to educational advocacy, she aims to inspire young readers and empowers mothers to support their children's learning journey by becoming a syllable division queen, right? As a mother of Nia Imani, who is now 27 years old, Dr. Allison Parker understands the unique challenges that families face, especially when it comes down to literacy development. She was a single mom for her daughter's first 6 years of life while she juggled being a 4th grade public school teacher. She has firsthand experience navigating the complexities of learning difficulties, which fuels her mission to create resources and products that make reading accessible and enjoyable for all children, not just some. Dr. Parker's debut book, it's the missing link. The power is within you, right? 25 pedagogical practices to help you close the reading achievement gap for your child. Offers practical strategies for parents to foster literacy skills in their children while emphasizing the importance of supportive home environment. In addition to writing, she owns Purposeful Learning Academy, her private tutoring and consulting business in Brooklyn. What's up, BK? New York, where she works with children who have dyslexia. She has recently launched a YouTube channel to provide support for parents on a national and global level. She offers support for mothers, sharing insights on literacy development, parenting skills, and the vital role parents play in their children's education. When not tutoring, counseling, or speaking, Dr. Allison Parker enjoys working on her other passion project, real estate investing. Okay, you got to have multiple streams, ladies and gentlemen. She has used the money she's earned as a school teacher and private tutor to build a real estate investment portfolio to build wealth. Okay, lesson message. She resides in Brooklyn, New York with her husband, where they enjoy playing games like Scrabble, chess, and Monopoly, and curling on the sofa to watch documentaries and many of the shows on HGTV. Now, when you're in real estate and you're doing real estate investment, shows like HGTV, you got to tap into that. I'm sorry. Because you're gonna get all type of ideas, everything going through your head, and you're gonna learn some gems. That's a good show. And you're watching that only if you're in real estate or you're in construction, remodeling, a design, whatever like that. Okay, so her expertise in the following topics: early childhood education and elementary school education, literacy, professional development for teachers and school principals, parenting skills, development literacy at home for students who need early intervention and who have learning disabilities, dyslexia. Okay, real estate investing, buy and hold for long-term rentals and midterm rentals. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Allison Park.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. You're doing big things, major things, and the fact that you're taking your education, your skill set, everything like that, and you're reaching back to help bring others up. I commend you for that because a lot of people are just in it for a paycheck and not the purpose. You know what I'm saying? So, and for you to be like, you know what, I'm gonna get a check regardless. You know what I'm saying? What I do because I am who I am, but I have to give knowledge and skills and education back to the people. So this is one of my purpose in life. So I want to say, I appreciate you doing that and continue to lead by example. Now, you've identified syllable division queens as a key concept for mothers. Can you elaborate on what this means and why it's so empowering?
Absolutely. So, at some point in my career, I launched my own private practice July 2nd, 2000. Since July 2012, in addition to being a public school teacher, I've ran my own private practice, mainly supporting children in elementary school. And in my work as a private practice tutor, what I've noticed when I look around the room, it doesn't matter what age or what grade, what I noticed when I stood back and look at all my dry erase whiteboards, what I noticed after teaching at the end of a day, I noticed on a Saturday, I said to myself, Allison, you are a syllable division queen, because every single whiteboard, the boards that I worked on to help children in K through 2, 3 through 5, and 6 through 8, and then my individual one-on-one clients, even at the high school level, what do they all have in common? The thing that they all have in common is they get stuck on words and they guess guess, 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 guess. They look at the shape of the word and then they think about it and they give it a good guess. They have no syllable division, no word attack, no decoding strategies, no syllabication strategies. They don't know how to take a word and chop it into chunks and then blend them back together to read the new word. And so it doesn't matter. So I coined myself first the syllable division queen. And I know, because I've been doing this now for 13 years, that I can't do this alone. And the main ingredient that led me to write the book and to come up with other resources is I need to teach this to mom. Mom needs to become a syllable division queen so that I can empower her so that when Johnny gets stuck on a word, he's not automatically hearing sound it out. Sound it out doesn't really help kids. They have to understand what the process is to decode the word. So it's all about knowing vowels and digraphs and consonant blends and parts of words. These parts are called syllables, and there's 6 main syllable types. So what would life be like for children, particularly in grades K through 5, if mom knew how to coach the child and how to decode tricky words? So my mission at this point in my private practice is to look for moms who want to become syllable divisions queens as well and learn these key strategies to help empower their own children at home.
Now, when you said look for moms, are you finding a challenge? Are you finding it challenging to find moms who's going to participate? Because some
No, I don't mean a challenge looking. So I have a private practice of moms that come to my office. They've been coming to my office. I have had a stream of parents, mothers mainly Black women, some Hispanic women as well, that have come into my office for the last 13 years. When I say look for, I mean out in cyberspace. I mean now, establishing the YouTube channel, writing the book, creating the little paperback books that accompany the core product. What I'm saying is I want to find women out there as well who may not be in Brooklyn, New York, who may never come to New York City, who are looking online, who are Googling for someone to help them, because there are two-thirds of all children are not reading on grade level.
got you.
Nationally, they're not reading on grade level. If we look at the data on 4th graders, if we look at the data for 8th graders, these children are not reading on grade level. If you listen to high school students read a paragraph, about 100-word paragraph, you will notice, I notice, out of 100 words, many of them will get at least 3 to 5 wrong. Why? Because they don't know how to decode multisyllabic words either. And so this is a crisis. It's been ongoing. So my goal is to coach moms and help them through this process. So I coined the term syllable division queen because I want to crown mom after she's learned and give her the power and the support that she needs to help children who want to learn. They all want to learn, but I'm looking for moms specifically who understand that this is the missing link that they need.
Right, exactly. And then with the power of your book and social media and YouTube channel, those platforms attract moms. So you really don't literally have to go look for moms. They come find you because you have funnels and systems in place online. Because everybody's scrolling, everybody's online, everybody's on YouTube. I don't care who you are, you're going to find what you're looking for. And
Right.
they run across your platform, they can be like, oh my God, this is it right here. This is exactly the game changer I was looking for. You see what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on the Department on Education right now? There's been talks of dismantling. What are your thoughts as an educator?
Well, my thoughts mainly are focusing what I can control. I can control only so much. And so the variables that I can control are those that have to do with supporting mothers of children that are struggling readers. Many of these children have dyslexia. They have an IEP, which is an individual education plan. And so my goal is to focus only on, I've been a teacher since 1998. And from the beginning, my mission has been what can I control? I can't control all the variables. These variables, many of them were in play before I was born. And so all I know is that I can only do what I can do. And my part that I can play in this literacy journey is to support moms with the knowledge base that I have. So my goal is to create, well, was to create key resources that mom could purchase and utilize at home and then empower their own children. All the bureaucratic other issues going on out there, I believe that they will continue to exist. And that's why it's critical for mom to tap into the knowledge of syllable division, because this is what's holding kids back. If you read a passage and you get X amount of words wrong and you read it disfluently, then you can't fully comprehend. You won't be able to answer the questions accurately. And so basically, you're stuck. So, what we want to do is think about, at least for myself, the variables that I can control. And that's where I can shine and help moms.
Yeah. Now, have you found that during this situation that some moms are finding it, are they facing fear because the kids may not have a place to go if the school shuts down or the education department shuts down the schools?
So, that's not even something that I think about. I haven't never thought about it, to be quite frank. Schools, I believe, will continue to be in existence after the current administration leaves. Public schools will still be in existence. Parents have to go to school, kids have to go somewhere. I can't close my eyes and visualize New York City, where we have 1.1 million kids with all the schools closed. I can't even imagine that. I don't believe that's the plan. I think that do I believe that there should be some restructuring at multiple levels in terms of this whole crisis we have, this literacy crisis? Should there be restructuring? I believe so, because we keep reporting the same data. And the data has been consistent for decades that multiple children are not reading on grade level year after year after year. Absolutely, systematically, more has to be done. But let's focus on what we can control. And what we can control is what is happening in households, mom, and how can I best support you, mom? And here are these resources, and how I can show up to help you with your struggling reader.
Awesome. The reason why I asked that because I know some single moms who are more concerned about, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do if they shut schools down. Some people are dealing with lack of finances. They can't afford school lunch, at different programs for the child, and school was a part of their routines where the kids can go and it's just free lunch there, or this kind of lunch wherever it is, and they don't want the kids to be out in the street while they got to go to work. So hearing that type of conversation, they was dealing with a little phobia or fear right there. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, so I would say a follow up to that is the news has a purpose, and sometimes the news, one of the main reasons why the news exists is to keep people sadly off track. And so I would say get rid of the noise and block the noise out there and focus on what's happening inside. Give a listen, have your child read to you. What words are they struggling with? Are they two-syllable words? I had a client in my office last week who, you would think that a kid would know this word because it's only one syllable, and it was the word freight. And the kid struggled with the word FREIGHT, freight. Very unfamiliar, and struggled with that word. That was a one syllable word for a kid in high school. You see, so my point is, I think we need to, shut off the noise from outside with mass media and just focus on the variables and get back to basics at home and support children at home with literacy K through 12.
Awesome. Yeah. It's getting challenging. The news is playing a part, whether it's, mainstream media or
Mm-hmm.
uh YouTube is all these different podcasts out there. Everybody's podcasting and promoting, these type of things. So, people are listening and they dealing with fear, and it's like, okay. And on top of that, as a single parent, it's like I know a lady, oh, she got two kids in public school, and then she worked for the federal government, and she's uncertain about what's going to happen with her job. So she has a heightened, risk of fear and insecurity about what she's going to do. Like she's found herself drinking more wine every day, and she's tweaking out because she don't know what she do, and there's no help from the other spouse
Got
because
it.
they off in the wind. So for a lot of parents, especially moms, it's very tricky when they got young kids.
Absolutely.
It's very tricky. So
Absolutely.
now, your bio states that your dedication to transform the lives of children through the power of literacy. What was the defining moment or experience that solidified this as your life mission?
Mm. Great question. Defining moment. I think there were a few key moments, and then by age 15, it was completely solidified. So in elementary school, I heard two questions and one statement that I never forgot. Two questions. My father asked the question to us in elementary school. I have multiple other sisters. There are five of us. And the key question that my father asked when we were in elementary school was, girls, what are you going to be when you grow up? And what is the plan to get you there? Those were the two questions from my father. It wasn't like he asked this question once. This was a question he asked every single weekend when we went to his house. Every single weekend. I'm talking from second grade probably to sixth grade. Every single weekend. So even though, my parents separated and divorced, he was fully present, okay, in our life. Now, my mother he posed the questions. She made the statement that I never forgot. The statement that she posed was, girls, I only have a high school diploma. So everybody has to have one notch higher. Everybody needs to have a degree. Everyone has to do better than I did. Everyone has to elevate socially. So from those two questions and that statement and watching, my parents struggle in their own ways helped solidify the fact that if you're Black and you live in America and you're not educated and you don't have a plan and you're not focused on the future, you are pretty much guaranteed to struggle. At least that was my perception of those two questions and that statement. So at age 15, my mom let me get a job for the summer. And even before the job, I'm the firstborn. I have five sisters. I've been teaching and tutoring since forever. It's something that I've always done because I am the oldest and I've always helped my younger siblings, my younger sisters. But at age 15, my mom let me get a job. I worked as a daycare summer counselor. And while other kids were playing sports with the kids, I was busy sitting out on the bench with the kids, not playing sports. I would travel to Manhattan on the train with a pack of index cards and markers and books from home. We had a bunch of books at home. My parents bought us encyclopedias, index cards, markers, everything. Like literacy was a big deal at home. So that's part of the reason we had to read to our parents. They listened, they gave us feedback. Like literacy was a big deal growing up. I would sit with elementary school kids and have them read some of the books in my plastic bag, and whatever words they got wrong, I would coach them through the words. So here I was, 15-year-old Allison. I hadn't started college yet, but here I was teaching children. I was doing miscue analysis and helping kids at that point. Was the defining moment because it was so much joy. Not only the paycheck on Friday of $100 per week, that was one moment, but it was, wow, you're making an impact. Hey, this kid didn't know this word and you just coached them through the word. So that was the ultimate moment where I knew, I've been saying all these years, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to become a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher. I love my teachers. I had good teachers in elementary school. None of them looked like me. Not one. I didn't have a Black teacher until I started high school. But I knew that that was definitely the job for me because, I don't know, from a young age, I just felt like that was my mission. I just identified it as my mission. And so that was the key defining moment. So then I went to college right after I graduated high school. And right after I graduated and got my bachelor's degree, I immediately started in my master's program and eventually I went back and earned my PhD, which took blood, sweat, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
tears.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You going that route. My mother-in-law, she just graduated 63 years old. She just finished for epidemiology this February to pass.
Wow.
And she came over to the house. She's like, I need you to help me with this wellness part. She was doing things for Alzheimer's, that was her main
Okay.
concentration. And I said, look, this is our doctorate, but at 63, so I know firsthand exactly what it took. So congratulations to you anyway, as well as her. So I know
Thank you.
at
Congrats to her.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. At 15 years old, did the kids in your neighborhood, did they look at you as you like you were strange at the time, or they honored you every time you came around? Or did it be like, oh man, she ain't gonna do nothing? This, what I'm saying? Did you feel like you was the odd bunch in the neighborhood, or what? At 15,
I felt like that my entire life.
got you.
My entire life, I have identified myself as a black sheep. I am truly a black sheep. Very different than my siblings. My sister's very different than my sisters in so many ways. And I'd had a pile of responsibility drop into my lap when my father passed away when I was in the sixth grade. And so I believe it definitely shaped me. It definitely shaped my decisions, my foresight. Learning how to play chess in elementary school was something else that taught me to think ahead, plan ahead. My father was constantly drilling this in his head, in our head, because he knew, he was dying of cancer. So, yeah. I lived in Brooklyn, but I worked in Manhattan. So my teenage friends were not around. It was a summer job. But yeah, I've been a black sheep. In high school, I was a black sheep. I've been a black sheep, which I teach my students and my clients. It's cool to be different. That's what, you want to be different. So
You
I have identified as a black sheep my entire life. Yeah,
right now, you definitely, if you feel like you're different, cool, embrace that.
absolutely.
Love it because there's so much uniqueness in that, and there's so much opportunity in that as well. Be like, man, why she so weird? Why she so weird? Long to back in
Weird
the
is good.
yeah, back in the 80s and 90s, if you was weird, you was definitely a black sheep. Like, no, you were uncool, you were a nerd or whatever, whatever. Now it's like, man, that's very unique. You need to tap into that. That's going to get you some money. That's going to be a business for you. That's going to be a career. That's a skill set you need to develop, like whatever it is right now. The sky's the limit.
Right.
If you're unique right now, whatever you know naturally, that's what you need to go do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You don't, man, listen. And your father sounds like, okay, I got 5 girls. I'm gonna make sure that they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Well, I already know Allison, I already know about her because I'm teaching her. She's the oldest and she's gonna take the reign. I already know what she's gonna do. She's showing me right now. She's 15 years old. She's already doing it. So I know she's gonna be on the path of success and greatness. Now, your firsthand experience with your learning difficulty. I didn't answer that question. Okay. Now, being a single mom for your daughter for the first 6 years while teaching fourth grade must have been incredibly challenging. How did that period shape your perspective on literacy development in the home?
Well, when I was a little girl, we had to read aloud. Okay. We read aloud to my father often. He came from the South. He was from Virginia, where I'm not sure what he went through in terms of education, but I can tell from his parenting. I could also tell from my mother's parenting that, again, there was this underlying message. If you're black and you live in America, you must be educated. You must be educated in order to thrive. And so we had to read aloud at home, like in a circle, reading. It was like a guided reading lesson. You got feedback. I remember learning the word abundance for the first time. The first time I saw that book was at home, not at school. And I mispronounced it. And then he basically coached me through the word. My mother would listen. If we didn't read right, she would say, go back, read that again, reread that again. And so it was expected that we had to read out loud and get feedback. So I basically did the same thing with my own child. My very early years prior to entering the public school system, I worked in daycares. In fact, I worked in 5 different daycares while I was an undergrad student. And so while I was an undergrad student, I would observe how mothers interacted with their 3-year-olds, their 4-year-olds, their 2-year-olds, their pre-K kids. And I learned a lot about, parenting styles, and I would analyze what I was reading in books against what I was actually observing in real time.
Real time.
And yeah, and so kids that had strong language skills, those kids were the kids that were reading already. And so I knew from having my background in early childhood education, working, and then my master's degree in early childhood education, I knew the power of language literacy before I gave birth to Nia. In fact, 2 weeks before I had Nia, I finished my master's degree. And so life at that time was difficult, I will say, financially, only because I was spending money paying, attorney's fees to try to get out of my first marriage. But there was this wonderful world of literacy right at home. Her room was decorated, it was print rich. She spoke early, read early. By 2 years old, she already knew her letters and her sounds by 3, knew the letter names by 2, the sounds by 3. At that point, I started blending these CVC 3-letter words with her. And by the time she entered school, she was already a fluent reader. So she learned to read at home with me. So I know that if mothers knew how to coach their kids, we could have the same for many other kids out there. So I would say that I took what I went through from little Allison's perspective, with being required to read aloud at home, get feedback, and then let's read that again, reread that again, and let's fix that. Did that sound right? Did that make sense? So this whole guided reading was happening at home. And then I implemented it as a mother and then later as a teacher.
Right, exactly. Now, are you seeing the same patterns with your daughter right now as she goes on into her young adulthood? Is she doing the same thing as you, teaching people as she go, or what?
So Nia actually is in the health field. She just graduated with her master's in May. She told me in her adolescent years, "Hey mom," when I asked her, you thinking about becoming a teacher, Nia? She told me flat out, no. Why? She said, because your day never seems to end. Your day never seems to end. Your mind is always on. How can you help this kid? And she would see me grading papers at home. I mean, she would see me. So it wasn't as like I could hide it. I did bring, a bag home full of stuff that I had to check. And no, Nia's in the healthcare field. She's not following in my footsteps. She's not an educator, but she has worked for me. In fact, her first job was my assistant in my learning center, which is named Purposeful Learning Academy. Named it right after her. Her name is Nia Imani. So Nia means purpose. It's a Kwanzaa principle. So I named it right after her.
Okay, that's awesome. But she made an interesting point and say no, because your brain never turns off. With a lot of careers that has a power of purpose connect to it, your brain really doesn't shut off. It's a 24-hour, 7 days a week, because you can be in a grocery store and see something, hear something, and most likely you can start work. You're working. You're constantly working. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? But if that's your passion, you've been doing it for years. It's just part of your DNA.
It is. It is part of my DNA. And that's why I call it a mission. It's not for me. It's not a job. It's not work.
Yeah,
It's a mission.
that's the
It's
mission.
a mission. So, wherever I go, I'm working on my mission. It could be at the bank and the mother is struggling with the kid who's having a tantrum. I might just give her a word of advice, right on the spot.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter, so it's my mission. It's not a job. I happen to get paid to do what I love, but it's my mission. It's not, I don't perceive it as a job. So when teachers ask me, none of my teacher friends have a private practice. So they think I am a weirdo, I am an oddball. And why do you do this? You don't need to do this. And why do you continue to do this? Do you still do that tutoring thing? And my answer is yes. And that's because it's a mission. It's not a job.
Yeah, it's fast, and yeah, it's not a job, it's not a traditional job, it's a mission, it's a passion, it's your life work, you know? I ask people all the time, you know, like, "How do you wanna be remembered? Are you living for your resume? Are you living for your eulogy? You know, are you living for your last name? Are you just living for just what it is?" And some people, when you pose that question, they really gotta think about that, you know? It's like, everything that you're doing right now should be not about you. It's you, but it should be not about you. You should create work that's going to outlive you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, oh
Absolutely.
man, you know, it's like I remember grandmama when your daughter have a kid, she like, this was grandmama and this is great granddad. You know, they all was in line of helping one another. This is our bloodline, you know. And
Right.
today, I feel that a lot of people, old and young, are in their 40s and 50s, you know, they're so stressed out at work. There's no mission, there's no passion, it's just a paycheck. And when they get off, they straight to the happy hour. You know, hey, it's Wednesday. We gonna get some wine. And I mean, I understand it, but you have to look at what you do as something that you can, put a rope back down and pull people up who's needing it. You know, you can't just say, hey, I make 6, 7 figures doing this. I'm good. You know, there's a lot of people that can use your expertise, your passion, and your knowledge and skill set that can really help reshape them, you know,
Right.
or rebuild them. And I think a lot of people have gotten away from that. You know, I'm glad to hear. It's refreshing to hear and see somebody's like, hey, I've been doing this since 15 years old. So if your daughter was unruly in the bank, you know, I'm like, hey, let me tell you something. Now, just to say that's a situation you may have to give a word of advice. Do you feel like the mother is more open to your advice, or they feel like, they toot their nose up and tell you to mind your business or whatever, whatever, or just a combination of both?
I start with a smile. You communicate non-verbally first. Like if the kid is having the meltdown,
Yeah,
let's say, and this isn't something I'm going out of my way to do. When I see a parent in distress, namely a mom who just needs to just count to 10 or count
yeah.
from 10
Woosah.
to 1 backwards, when I see this, I take it as a moment just to, first smile non-verbally and then say, quietly, because nobody wants to be embarrassed, the word of advice that I offer. What I notice with a lot of moms is they'll go somewhere, the bank, the supermarket, wherever they're going. Let's say the bank, and they have to sit for a minute to talk to, one of the, not the teller, but someone that has a desk job at the bank. And the kid is there with mom, no backpack, no book, no little toy to play with, nothing to keep them busy.
Yeah,
And
right.
so when you have nothing to do and you're bored out of your mind, you're going to appear to be a bad kid. But really, this isn't a bad kid. This is a kid whose mother's unprepared in
Mm,
the moment to support him emotionally. So rather than hit him, slap him, beat him, or threaten him, how about we just pack a bag and think about what he's going to need or she's going to need when you're wherever you're going. And that's kind of what I did. I just packed a little Elmo backpack with Nia's, little juice box, some string cheese, a little yogurt, her little things she had, the little books, the little teeny tiny quick books that she had, a couple of crayons, a little 99-cent notepad so she could scribble in that, something to keep her busy
yeah,
while I was wherever I was, because she was always with me. I've been there too. So sometimes, that smile that I give, like I understand,
yeah,
but it's just a lack of preparation because
yes,
we're not thinking about what the kid needs in the moment.
yeah,
So some of it goes back to just good parenting, you
yeah.
know?
That's a good observation because you was talking. I was thinking during the time where I've seen a child acting up, and the mother was like, "Shh, be quiet, be quiet." And then he wanted her cell phone so he can play something on her cell phone, watch something cartoonish on YouTube. But she needed her phone,
Mhm.
and but he was about to
Right.
He's very now. I to me, it looked like he might have been probably in the spectrum or something like that, or maybe he had ADHD or something because it looked like he's about to act a fool. You know what I'm saying? But she gave him her phone, and then he immediately sat down and he went to listen to something. But she was like, "Turn the phone down, turn the phone down," but he wasn't trying to hear it, but, she didn't have a plan.
That's it.
She
And
didn't have
and
a
that was the number one question my father posed that sticks with me. I'm 53. You have to have a plan for pretty much everything. And even taking the kid with you to the bank, the supermarket, whatever. And that is the new go-to with parents, shoving the iPad in the kid's face or the cell phone, and there's no little backpack, there's no little stuff in there that's kid friendly. It's just this electronic device where it's stunting our kids' language.
Yeah,
Kids need to hear real conversations from humans, not yeah, 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 from the videos.
yeah,
That's not growing a child's brain cells and their language skills and their vocabulary. So it's just we don't really understand how parenting, good, rich parenting can positively impact literacy. And so we definitely have to have a plan for our children for them to thrive, even with the most mundane task like going to the bank or the supermarket or wherever you're going. I never left home without a backpack for Nia. I just can't even imagine. But that's partially because when I was young, when we were going to go out on the weekends, there was a bag packed for us.
yeah. That's what I was about to say. You're cut from that cloth. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of these mothers, they probably didn't have that, so they don't know nothing about that. Only thing they know is like, hey, I got my kid with me. I got this phone, uh, iPad. Hey, be quiet while I go do this. So it's not notebooks. It's not book bags. It's not. We had Essence Sketch. Remember this little, we can write on it.
Yes.
I don't see, because now you got me thinking, because I see kids all the time and I don't see those. I see a book bag, but it's snacks in there, it's sugar, it's candy, and it's something electronic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no pencil and paper and books. There's no books.
That's the new norm.
Yeah,
So, because mass media tells us that, or this is the underlying subliminal message in the media, that every kid needs a phone, every kid needs a device. The family plan, we bought into this lie. And so kids have, devices, and what they don't have are books.
they
They don't have
don't
books,
they don't have
and they don't carry books around with them because I think about when I'm in New York City, if I were to take the train, what do I put in my bag? A book. I have started and finished books on train rides in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a great place to catch a good read, even
Yeah.
if you're getting two chapters in on or wherever it is. And then, even now, okay, so speaking of books, what do you think is more important right now? Reading a book or listening to a book? Because we
Depends
got
on who we're,
old
who,
school,
who are we talking about? For children or adults?
both.
Okay. So I'll focus on the kids that I serve. So if this is a kid with a language-based learning disability, also known as dyslexia, language is hampered in most kids. A lot of kids that have an IEP, they have language and speech concerns. So audiobooks are a fantastic tool tool. Nothing beats the power of mom reading to the kid. Mom reading to the kid is my first go to. Now, if we want to give a kid a few minutes to listen to an audiobook, read the audiobook and take the little quiz, I offer that to my clients. That's a total two thumbs up. That cannot be the only form of literacy that children have. So if you're an adult and you want to listen to an audiobook, I'm not really an audiobook person. I'm the kind of
Reader.
person that loves to order books, read books, annotate in books, mark the book up, underline, reflect, think, how does this relate to my life? How can I apply this? Like, that's the type of reader that I am, because that's what I learned from guided reading at home as a child. That's what we were taught. So that's how I read and connect and make meaning from print. So kids who are struggling need the auditory, the visual, and the opportunities to speak, read, write, and spell as well. So kids need, I would say they benefit from both. But mom, if I go back to the name of my book, mom is the missing link. Children, how many, if we lined up a group of 10 children right now, are going to say every day, mom reads me a bedtime story?
Yeah, I think I haven't been around small kids at night for years, so I want to know if most kids are still being read a bedtime story. But I'm pretty sure.
You say still. You say still.
I mean, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if kids are being read bedtime stories anymore. I don't know. I'm not around little kids, so I don't. I
I
don't.
am.
Okay, in your experience, are they being read bedtime
No,
stories by parents?
no, no. And
Gotcha.
so they lack language skills, they lack vocabulary, they struggle with decoding words. I'm not even going to say multi-syllabic words, one and two syllable words. Forget about three syllable words. Can we get through one and two syllable words fluently and accurately? No.
Yeah. Wow. Things are different.
Most kids are not being read to. That's something when I interview my new client and ask, "Hey, when's the last time you read a bedtime story with mom?" And some of them really give me these weird looking faces like, "What?" Like, I'm not a baby, Dr. Parker, or I'm not 2 or 3. Like, I'm a second grader. You're a child. And
Yeah.
so your ears and your brain are missing this opportunity if you're not being read to. We cannot teach a child every word in the dictionary. So how do we learn? We learn them implicitly by hearing words. And when parents and mothers read to children, they're gaining a wealth of vocabulary from listening. So there's explicit teaching and implicit. And so they're missing those opportunities to expand their vocabulary and the fun. Kids learn lessons from books. They learn empathy from being read to. Lots of kids don't have any empathy. Why? No one is reading to them as well. So there are many reasons why children need to be read to. And then I'll flip it. And then mom needs to say, "Hey, open your book while I'm cooking or whatever you're doing. Go ahead and read that so I can listen to you read." So they need feedback as well. It can't just be mom doing all the work. Their
Right.
brains have to do work as well. And so we need to listen to children read and give them feedback so that they're not thinking that this word that looks like the word abundance is something else.
But I think most moms or some of the moms are too distracted,
That
with Instagram and all these different videos. And I think they're too distracted, not paying attention to the reading aspect of the child. Then the child is going to mirror whatever the mom is doing. If she's cooking or washing dishes and her song come on, her mom is going to dance. You know what I'm saying? It's boots on the ground. So little kids they're going to get their fan. And, I've seen that. It was like, okay, well, the moms, people are definitely distracted. And I don't think that they're taking the time to read to the child the way they should. When I'm thinking about, I'm like, yeah, moms are really distracted. They really are.
they're very distracted. They're very distracted. They're working hard at work to put food on the table, to elevate at work. If they're in corporate America, they're trying to elevate. If they're not in corporate America, they may have one job, they may have two jobs. I was a single mom. I worked my regular job and then I showed up after school and I taught after school and I also taught on Saturday. But one thing I didn't neglect, I dedicated that 10 to 15 minutes to that nightly bedtime story. And I want to say from in utero, while she was in me, fetus mode, to
You're right.
Middle school, and then I stopped reading to her, and it was more partner reading. Yeah, because children mispronounce a lot of words, and if you're not there to catch them, guess what? They're not going to learn. Teachers rarely listen to children read in school. Hey, read page 10 to 12 and answer these questions and then turn it in. But is the teacher listening to you to see if you have read that accurately and fluently? And for most, the answer is no.
I remember during the time, middle school, whatever, and the teacher would be like, I need somebody to read. We reading the book, and the teacher would be like, I need somebody to read this for me. Nobody want to read. So he was like, I'm a volunteer somebody. So a lot of times I'll raise my hand and I'll read a chapter, as I insert, right? Because, okay, I don't want you to call my name out. So I'm going to volunteer. And for some people, and I was thinking about that. Like a lot of people, a lot of guys that I grew up with, they would not raise their hand to read because it was very challenging for them. And they was tough guys. You know, you got to be tough in the neighborhood, and you don't want nobody to clown you to say, "Oh, well, a dude can't read." You know what I'm saying? So, but you said something profound. You said 10, 15 minutes at night, and that's a very short time to say, Imma read something. You see what I'm saying? And you're doing that every night. And it's like even when you're on the train, you know, the ride is a little longer, but imagine if you're reading to your kid 10, 15 minutes. That's not a long time. They playing PS2 for 2 hours. So, you know, 10, 15 minutes to listen to your child read, engage with them in a conversation about the book. You know what I'm saying? That's not a long period of time. That's no time at all. You're talking about
Exactly. So
that's no
when my clients ask me, "Hey, what should I do?" You know, read. No, no. What should I do? No, no, no. Read. That's what you should do. I'm not going to tell you to go order this or order that. What your kid's brain needs is to be stimulated so we can connect the wires in those brains so
right.
that they become more fluent and accurate readers. That is exactly what they need. And then have them read to you. Some parents will say, but the book is so many pages. Okay. Okay. How many pages? 15 pages? Read a few pages a day. Divide that book into the number of days in a week. Read 2 pages a day. I'm not saying, read the whole book. My daughter and I joke because when we talk about literacy together and she reminisces, I would wake up. I would doze off on reading to her because I was so dead tired. But I was determined to sit in that rocking chair with her on my lap, reading every single night. But sometimes I would doze off and she would wake me up. Her arms would be crossed.
What do you
And
do?
guess what I had to do? Finish the book.
Finish the book.
And that's what I did. I committed to that. So I like telling my story because I was a broke single mom struggling too. So I'm busy. If you don't have 10 minutes, most YouTube videos are 12 minutes, 14 minutes, 15 minutes or longer, the good ones. I'm not talking about the shorts. You could be reading to your kid in that time. And so it's all about prioritizing and believing what I believed, what I was made to believe as a child. If you are Black and you live in America, I'm not even going to say Black anymore. If you're a human and you live in America and you're not literate, I don't see you going too far. And what we want to do is communicate to our children that you're going to need skills later. And most people learn skills from reading. Humans learn from reading. Yes, there is a video. We can watch the video. But at some point, if you want to elevate in life, you're going to have to become more literate. And so we have to communicate that so that we can help our children make the connection between what I am doing now is directly correlated to my work later in my profession, in my job, or your mission later. These things are connected. I don't see how the Mickey Mouse or the YouTube video, whatever the new things are, I don't know. And am I saying that my daughter never watched videos? Well, YouTube was not a thing back then, but what I did was I bought her educational videos and I screened and decided when she watched what she watched. I bought what I wanted her to watch, and that's all she watched. So it's about determining how you want this life of your child to look. How do you want it to look? What trajectory do you want to follow? And so I think sometimes as parents and as mothers, we're doing our best, but really, are we? Are we standing back and thinking about what is the best thing that I can do for this kid to help this kid develop literacy so that this kid is not struggling and this kid can elevate socially? We want social mobility for our kids. That was the statement from my mother. Hey, girls, everyone has to have more than I have. I have a high school diploma. Everyone has to elevate and have at least a degree.
So, any final words that you want to leave with with the audience? Tell everybody how they can get the book, everything like that.
Sure. Well, this is the book. Let me just showcase the book. There's the
Mom is the
book.
missing link. Yep.
Mom is the missing link. The power is within you. I believe wholeheartedly in mom. Mom just needs support. And what this book does is it gives you 25 pedagogical practices instrumental and to helping children become more powerfully literate. So these instructional strategies were written in a very mom friendly way for mom to be able to help children. It's cut up into parts. So birth through age 2, age 3 through 5. What are some strategies you could be doing to build literacy at home? Kindergarten through grade 2, grades 3 through 5, and then 5 and up. So there's something in here for everyone, for all children, to help them with what we call the 5 pillars of reading. And the book, as long as you go to Amazon.com, these other resources are also there. This is Demystifying Dyslexia. Hot off the press. This one is Demystifying Dysgraphia. So dyslexia is a reading disability. We want to demystify this. Demystifying Dysgraphia, which is a disability in writing. Students who struggle with reading, many of them struggle with writing, getting the words on paper, out of their head onto paper. And then Demystifying Dyscalculia, which is a learning disability in math. So all of these can be found at Amazon.com. And I have a website. People can contact me at Dr. Allison Parker, Ph.D.com, and come join the mission in helping our children become more powerfully literate. Join the mission. I'm going to have, starting, I want to say next week, okay, a webinar. I would love to offer a free webinar for parents to bring them in, to start listening to them and teaching them about how to help children become more powerful with dividing multisyllabic words so that they can stop getting stuck, so we can build their comprehension and their understanding and their love of literacy.
This is a beautiful thing, and I love the books that you put out for moms. Now, is there any misconception parents may have about their role in their children's literacy journey?
Well, misconceptions may be based on how people have been raised. And so, if you have a different viewpoint, a different lens, then you might have some limiting beliefs. But I wholeheartedly believe, not only because of my work in my private practice, my work as a public school teacher. And I'm going to tell you, from being a public school teacher of elementary school students, middle school students, and high school students, all of them need help. Some need less, some need more. All of them, the middle kids, the top kids, the low functioning kids, all of them need help with something.
Yeah.
All of them. And so we won't know what they need unless we pay attention. to how they read in front of us. Don't take what you see written on paper with face value. I would go a step further and do what was done to me. Hey, open the book. Let's go. Let me listen. Read that page for me and get feedback, because a lot of children need more than is reported in data on report cards, on progress reports. They need more than that. And you won't really know what your kid needs unless you take a listen. So,
So when you're meeting a parent or mother, do you ever find it where a mother come in when she having challenges with reading?
yes. Yes, most of my clients, I can, in a very warm and loving way, get mom to talk about her own experiences. Usually it comes out when I'm going over the assessment data. So when kids come in, the first thing I do is assess the kid. Mom wants to know how I can help. I don't teach anybody blindly. I need data in front of me. I only do data driven coaching, tutoring, mentoring. That's it. I don't do any blind work. And most teachers, that's what we do as part of our craft. We collect data. And then when I'm going over the data with the parent and I'm discussing, kid doesn't know rhyming words, kid is struggling with phonemic awareness, kid can't determine number of syllables in a word, kid is struggling with blending or segmenting, or kid is mispronouncing words. And some parents will just flat out say, because we're having this intimate one-on-one, there's no one else in my office, it's a small space with me and just mom. This is where mom, and I usually ask, did you struggle? I stop asking, did you struggle? And sometimes I'll ask, if they don't reveal it to me, I'll ask, what did you struggle with as a child? Because all of us struggle with something. Either it was literacy, math, social skills. Everybody struggled with something. No student that I've ever met in the 27 years I've been doing this, where no one needs no kind of assistance. Everybody needs something.
Yeah.
And so mom feels comfortable in my space because I created it so that it attracts mom. So all my real estate investing experience and turning a space into a beautiful place where mom comes in and she feels welcome to sit on my sofa with me, or we sit in my assessment area. We just sit and have a conversation about it. And I promise mom that if she works with me, we're going to kill this gap. We're going to close this reading achievement gap. And so, yeah, sometimes they tell me, and sometimes I gently pull it out of them, because I want them to see that this is hereditary. This is hereditary. Our children inherit our brain and our beauty. So, we cannot penalize children. We have to stop calling them lazy. We have to stop giving them these unacceptable labels that are hurting them emotionally. It's just going to take him a little while longer, or he has to learn in this other way, this multi-sensory way, so that we can help his brain interpret what he is seeing so that he can grow, or she can grow as a reader. So I have great experience with bonding with mothers. Any mother, it doesn't matter what the mother's background is, it doesn't matter.
Right, right. Now, mothers come in, do you feel like they're more relaxed when they come in and meet with you with their child, or they feel like, they kind of uptight, filled with anxiety, anything like that?
Moms come to me mainly by referral. Some will pass by, they'll see my signage, they'll ring my bell, I'll give them a flyer, they'll set up an appointment on the spot. Some will say they have to speak to their significant other, or they'll text me back, whatever it is. But most of them come to me because their backs are up against the wall. These are kids who've been failing for years, and then, oh my God, wait, you're a teacher? You're a real teacher? You teach in the system, and wait, you have a tutoring business? Oh my God. So the anxiety, no, it's how long is this going to take you, Dr. Parker? And I say, well, it's not me, it's us.
Right.
We have to do this together. I'm not a magician. So I can teach a kid, but kid has to practice between sessions.
Yeah.
And you got to bring the kid on time and make sure the kid is practicing between sessions. I got a whole lending library of books that parents can borrow from my office. And parents who really hold on to my hand and follow my lead and we do this together, these are the kids. And I can tell you, these are kids I met and they were first graders in the middle of the year with the holdover letter. So usually mom's back is up against the wall. She's not coming because she's just showing up. She's coming because her kid is failing.
Right, right. You can't have that.
Right. So either the school is saying we're going to hold him over. She can't have that. No one wants that for their child. Or someone referred her to me. And so she comes in and she comes in open, ready to go because listen, this is an emergency. Kids are bleeding and dying. And how can you help? And so many times after I review the assessment data, mom is in tears. It's an emotional first day.
Yeah, yeah.
So I reassure her that this is my specialty. This is my mission. You're in good hands. That's why such and such referred you to me. And, they come along this journey with me.
Yeah. And
And
you're credible. You have years of experience, you educated. So it's like, hey, I'm here. Now, with that comes a nice price point. Do you feel that parents able to invest into their child? Because you got to invest.
yeah, it's an investment. So my investment, if I were to compare my prices to prices of people with the same level of teaching experience, the same level of education, and the same level of expertise, it would be at least double what I charge. So my prices have been pretty much the same since before I even finished my PhD. My prices are, I would say, minimal. I would say minimal for the level of expertise and the level of experience. And this is nothing more than my mission. This is something that I don't have to do.
Yeah. So basically, once again, like we talked before the show started, really, it's purpose over profit for you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people who are doing what you're doing, they're gonna charge a premium price, you know, and I don't want you to say what you're charging, anything like that, nothing like that. But you saying, hey, this is my mission, this is my purpose. I know I can charge premium, you
But
know.
I wouldn't be able to help. Listen, I understand socioeconomics. Okay, socioeconomics. The children that are struggling, I know one of their two parents, if their kids who have been struggling for years, one of their two parents or both have a language-based learning disability. They have dyslexia. Maybe it's mild and it's not really noticeable in the workplace. Maybe it's moderate, or maybe they're able to cope through it. They learn coping mechanisms and they're able to maintain employment. But so I know that these are people that are not earning the highest salary possible. I know this because I understand the research behind children who are struggling. And so if I'm trying to reach people in the community, then I have to be cognizant of and aware that yes, I need to pay my commercial spaces rent and I need to pay for the utilities. I need to buy the kids snacks. It's an all-inclusive program. So you pay the one price, you get everything. Plus, I build in other freebies for my clients. And so the price they pay has to pay the bills. And yes, is there money that I do collect for Allison Parker so that I can do other things? Absolutely. But it's not going to break anybody's bank. And so now I have had parents say to me, oh, that this is expensive when I think it's not expensive. And that's why I'm going to be launching the webinar. And if you go to my website, you can click a button for $99. Hey, if you can't do tutoring, then for $99, join this group setting where I can coach you in the group for only $99 a month. It's the Syllable Division Queen Literacy Community. And so that was my solution. Like, okay, because you're thinking that this is the lowest it could possibly be, but maybe there's something more affordable out there. What could you think? So it makes an entrepreneur get creative. Yes, I have gotten the feedback that, oh, that's more than I can afford. And these are some mothers that have a significant other. I met a mom recently who came into my office. She doesn't work. The husband works. And she I have no job, I have no employment, I have no money, I can't afford this. But her kid was a third grader reading on kindergarten reading level. And so I have thought to myself, how can I best support that mom? I still have her email address, I still have her phone number. So I've thought of other solutions for other moms who, can't afford my price.
Right, right, right. I work with a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, and people be like, "Oh man, your price too expensive," and it's like, well, for who? You know what I'm saying? Because if you saying that I'm too expensive, then I'm not really marketing to you. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of people out there who can afford your services. You see what I'm saying? But for the individuals who cannot, you need a all like a webinar or a program or a course that people can afford. And then the other thing about it, it's like, well, you got a $350 bazillion hairpiece on your head that you constantly go get done every month. You see what I'm saying? But yet you're telling me my prices is too high. So we have
Right.
to make sacrifices somewhere down the line. Like, what are some of your vices that you're gonna have to give up in order for you or your child to get the tutoring, the education that he needs? Now, if you can't sacrifice that,
Right. It's
you
about
got a
prioritizing. Right. Prioritizing. And in order to get something, you have to give up something. It's called sacrifice. And
sacrifice.
so if you're prioritizing literacy in the home, then listen, you pay the price. You're gonna pay the price either way. Either you pay the price or you pay it later when you don't want to pay it later when your kid is in a place where they are not where they should be academically and financially. It has a direct correlation. Literacy is directly correlated
Yeah,
to income,
yeah,
and wealth.
yeah,
And I'm not talking that everyone needs a PhD. That's not what I'm saying. But you need to be able to read
yeah.
documents.
You
You
need
need to be able to read applications. You need to be able to read to navigate where you need to go to elevate. So you have to become literate. So
yeah.
you're going to pay the price either way. You
Either
just
way.
have to figure out which one is the best choice for you.
Right, right. You got to look at value versus cost. A lot of people they be like, "Oh, it costs too much." I said, "But you're missing the value on what this is. Don't worry about the cost. Think of the overall value of why we're here." It's the same thing when people say, "Oh, Terrence, it costs too much to eat healthy." I said, "Yeah, but the value of eating healthy is, down the line. But you got money every month to pay for prescription drugs. And that money you could have just been buying healthy food. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people don't understand. They're only looking at the price tag of stuff and not the value of the product or the service. And that's what I'm seeing over the years. Now I know prices are going up all over the place. I get that. I get that. But what can you sacrifice? Can you sacrifice going to the liquor store every week? Can you sacrifice getting your hair and your nails done? You know what I'm saying? Can you sacrifice going to the club? Can you sacrifice? This is your child. This is your children. And me to tell me you can't cut your hair short. You know what I'm saying? And quit shopping so much. It's like so many things that parents need to sacrifice. I remember for my kids, I sacrificed whatever I need to sacrifice. That's what I did.
Same.
You know,
Right.
it's your child. My mother, them, they sacrificed with me. So it's like, okay, you can't let your kids go not learning. If the teacher call, say, if I get a phone call from Dr. Parker, say, hey, your daughter, your son is X, Y, and Z. They're not learning, they're not reading, they're not doing the work. I'm gonna look at the parent. What are you doing, or what are you not doing at the home? Because it's not what the child do when they're in school. It's what the child do when he's not in school. You see what I'm saying? Are they reading a 10, 15-minute window at night? Are you reading to them at night? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many books have the child read? You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to figure it out as a parent, man, especially these days at times, because I feel like nobody's really coming to save nobody,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, if that's your child, they unruly, most likely is going to go to a life of crime, And if you're not paying attention in school, you're not reading, you're not really listening to the teachers, it's going to be a problem in your teenage years and your high school years leading into adulthood, you
Right.
know? And, every major city is got their problems. They got
Mm-hmm.
their bad apples, they got their bad environments and everything like that. So if you're not getting some type of education to figure out, should I stay in the hood? Education gonna get you out the hood. If you want to stay in the hood, that's fine. If you want to come back and help people, that's fine too. But if you're not participating in education right now as a young adult, learning something
Yes.
type of skill, you're gonna be stuck. So, what do you think about asking a child what they're interested in and get books or materials on that for them to read? You think that they'd be more interested in reading then? And say I'm interested in whatever it is. And like, okay, let's focus on that because when I was coming up, nobody in the hood wanted to read Moby Dick and all that stuff like that. We weren't interested in a lot of these things, but it was necessity for us back then to get through it
Right.
or as far as the curriculum is concerned. But now I've seen kids be like, what are you interested in? Oh, I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. Are you reading up on it? Are you reading books on it? You know what I'm saying? So the question is, do you feel that kids need to read books that they're interested in to develop their mindset or just read anything in general?
Well, there's two kinds of reading. You have academic reading at school, which is required, which you may not have control over, but you still have to do. We all have been through this. Okay, that's academic reading. But then there's reading for pleasure. So as a child, I had both. I offered my child both. I offer my clients both. You can read these list of words between the session to practice. Again, they can listen to the ebook, read the ebook, record themselves reading, play it back, and then they can borrow books from the library. It is essential that children read for pleasure. Absolutely. They should have complete autonomy over books that they read for pleasure. Sometimes parents try to micromanage. Oh, I don't want him reading comic books. Why? Why not? And they don't have a rationale. Oh, it's just a comic book. There are many good vocabulary words in comic books or graphic novels. If the kid wants to read, let the kid read. They should have autonomy, choice, voice in what they choose. That's essential, particularly for reading for pleasure. Because at school, they don't have the autonomy. It's required reading in that sense, in that setting. Okay, you have to do what you have to do to get to the next level. We all have to do this. Okay. But good teachers survey their kids. I survey the kids. What do you like? What do you like? And make sure that we have these kind of authors in the library. And so you want to give your kids both. You want to give them required reading and you want to give them, reading that they have complete autonomy and control over because that's going to motivate them to want more and more. I had autonomy. We got to choose books from the library. We got to receive books. There was a Scholastic book club. Mommy didn't have a lot of money, but she had the $3 or the $5 where I could buy the couple of books per year. And I did, and I added them to my home library. And I read Charlotte's Web in one day as a kid. One day I read this book. I was homesick with asthma. I read the book in one day. Loved the book. Couldn't put the book down. How many children do we see reading? But because we're not giving them options.
Yeah.
We're giving them cell phones, but we're not taking them to the bookstore. We're not taking them to the library. So they don't value books. I just had a conversation with the mom, one of my clients today, of one of my clients who's a second grader going to third grade. And your tutor can do all the tutor can do. I can dance and I can sing. But if there's no reinforcement at home, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not a magician. I'm not God. It's not going to work. So while you're paying the money and you can afford it, if you're not investing the time to practice between sessions, it's not going to stick. My father used to say, girls, if you don't practice, look, one ear, boom, right out the other. That's where it goes. It goes to Never Never Land. It never sticks here because the brain needs repetition. All brains need repetition, particularly the dyslexic brain, over and over and over and over and over again. You need to be reading and rereading.
The
And
brain is like,
so if there's no reinforcement at home, if kids are not reading for pleasure, like how many kids think that reading is pleasurable? But it starts at home. Look at that front cover. I intentionally chose younger kids because it starts here. It starts here. It
that,
starts when they're little. There's a pregnant mom reading to a kid. It starts at home. Mom has to make it fun. It starts at home. You have to read to kids so they see the value in it. It's not the teacher's job to convince your child that there's value in literacy. That comes from home.
yeah, and that's a great cover, by the way. That's a
Thank you.
great, awesome cover that'll catch parents' attention and say, you know what, I need this. I have to have this. That's a great cover. I ain't gonna lie.
Thank you.
That's attention grabbing.
Thank you.
If I was a single mom or just a parent in general, I'd be
Yeah.
like, whoa. Because you got the pregnant mom, you got, it's like, all right,
I'm
yeah.
trying to appeal to all moms.
Oh
Appeal
yeah.
to whatever level the kid is at. Let me appeal to you.
Right, right. You catch kids, they're more impressionable by the time they're 7 years old. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? You get to formulate their brain. So if you reading like you read to your daughter while she was still inside you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then all the way up to a certain age, you were still reading to her. So she was born listening to you read. When she's pretty much in third grade, she was already advanced further than other kids. Because I was reading when I was in my mom's belly. She was reading to me, and that's amazing, man. Parents need to parents are too distracted these
And
days.
they don't have a plan.
Yeah, yeah.
You
They're
have
too
to
distracted.
plan for that precious child from the beginning, and just having the plan and sticking with it, no matter what happens. Have I had a perfect ride? No.
Right, right.
But one thing I never strayed from was the dedication of daily reading. That's it. That's
Yeah.
the answer. How can I help my child? Read to your child every day.
Right.
How can I help? Let your child read to you. Give your child gentle, active feedback. Emphasis on the word gentle.
Until
You know that word? I'm gonna pop you. You know that word. You saw that word yesterday. I mean, because some parents they get bent
they
out
get
of shape.
yeah, they
I've
get
seen teachers as a literacy coach get bent out of shape because a kid doesn't know the word. When we just did the word yesterday, I taught the word. Well, okay, the brain needs repetition.
yeah,
Let it go. Give a gentle reminder. Oh, sweetie, that's the word, whatever the word is. Let's say the kid sees from and says for. So
yeah.
to your kid, have your kid read to you and gentle corrective feedback. You do those three things, your kid's gonna be a rock star without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen, even when my daughter was like coming up years ago, and she would get a word wrong, and my ex-wife, she was like, I see the frustration. I said, no, you gotta take your time. You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of parents to this day, fast forward, that get really filled with anxiety and frustration because their child can't, do the problems, the home,
Yeah.
and things of that nature. And parents get really frustrated, and it's like, no, you need to chill out because obviously the child has a situation that you need to address and get some help. But you're too busy on TikTok and you're too busy on social media
Yeah,
doing the latest challenge, and you're not paying attention. Now, if I had a younger child right now as a man, I'd be like, oh, my child is struggling right now. I'll definitely come and find somebody like you, like, look, I'm gonna need some help, get some tutoring, and make sure that my child is getting the necessary services that he or she needs to get to the next level. Because we want our kids to be, like you said earlier, better than us. And we have to reinforce that, all the time. Like, yo, if I only got a high school education, I at least need to get you a bachelor's or associates in something and keep
yeah,
going.
yes,
Everybody wants their kids to be better than them. Everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
yeah,
if you're spearheading your kids, you're reading to them, you're getting them tutors, you're getting them into your academy like yours, or you're putting them in programs that's going to really help them flourish. It's like, hey, I was falling short in my reading. And I think about guys like hearing their stories all the time. David Goggins,
mhm,
he told you. He was like, "Bro, I couldn't read worth crap. I had to read it again and read it again and read it again." A guy like Eric Thomas, he said it took him 12 years to get a 4-year degree because he suffered.
yeah,
So but these guys persevered. They got the help they needed, and they know they needed to make a shift.
yes,
And they got the help they needed and said, "Okay, I kept doing it," because like you say, in this repetition, our brain, it's a muscle. We got to train it like we train our body. We got to keep going over and going over. Like, what does that mean? I didn't know what that sentence mean. I didn't know what that word mean. What I'm saying? I had to keep practicing and keep practicing and keep practicing until you get it. And now you one of the best around. You see what I'm saying? But they told you, David Goggins, they told you, like, bro, I didn't understand a word of it.
there's a lot of adults today who have dyslexia and they need support. I just want to piggyback on what you just said. I do offer online tutoring. If someone is out there is listening to this message and you live in Atlanta, you live wherever you live, I can still help because I do online tutoring as well. In fact, I have a client I have to meet right now
Oh, yeah, I
where I can
remember
see enter into my Zoom class. I can see
saying.
my 7 to 7:30 entered into my Zoom class, but there's a lot of adults that need help with literacy. They're dyslexic. They struggled as kids and they never got the help. They need help as well. So, anyone that needs help with reading, if you're a struggling reader, tap in, connect, and I would love to support you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're not going to hold you, Dr. Allison Parker. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for this, blessing us with this, and we're going to put it together nicely for you guys. And then I'm gonna follow her on her YouTube channel, connect with her on all the socials. Go get the book, all that, okay?
All
And
right.
we talk to you soon, okay, Doctor?
Okay. Thank you so much for
Thank
having me,
you. I
Terrence.
appreciate you.
Yeah,
Great.
I appreciate you too. Have a lovely evening, and it was a great conversation.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.